Some great drumming on this record. The way this song starts, the way the drums kick in on this record, launches this record into hyperspace, man. Reminds me a little bit of the Buckinghams, Don't You Care, the way the drums begin this record. But I'm talking about some soul music, man. Otis Redding with Love, man. One of his great, well, not his biggest hit, not by any means, but one of his, if you're an Otis Redding fan, you probably know, hey, this is one of his best records. But Otis Redding at number coming in 1969, June 7th, 1969. Otis Redding, Love Man at number 72, debuted at 77, up to 75, then up to 72. But this should have been a much bigger hit. And Otis Redding is from his fourth album called Love Man. His fourth album released after he was killed in that plane crash, produced by Steve Cropper, the legendary Steve Cropper of Stax Records, the guitarist of Booker T and the MGs. And by the way, Booker T and the MGs, they play on this album, they play on this record. And Steve Cropper, who co-wrote Knock on Wood by Eddie Floyd, remember that? Knock on Wood, and then there was In the Midnight Hour by Wilson Pickett. He left Stax Records in 1970, and that hurt him a little bit. Well, they probably hurt him a great deal. As a matter of fact, Steve Cropper was respected, not just here in the States. The Beatles took note. The Beatles, they liked the stuff that he did, his guitar playing and the work that he did with Otis Redding. And get this, I just found this out. John Lennon and not George Harrison, it was John Lennon and Paul McCartney. They made tentative plans to fly to Memphis to work with Steve Cropper, the guitarist. Didn't happen. Brian Epstein, their manager, the Beatles manager, canceled the trip because of security concerns, which was probably understandable. They played in Memphis in 1966, the Beatles did. They had some big-time security there, too. A lot of threats on the Beatles. But anyway, that was a nice piece of trivia that I found out just a few minutes ago. What else needs to be said about this record by Otis Redding? Man, it's killer. It's just a great soul record. It's got a great beat. It's classic Stax. I believe it. So, on that album, let me bring up that album. He covers Your Love Keeps Taking Me Higher and Higher by Jackie Wilson. He covers that record. But he also covers, get this, A Lover's Question. Does a cover of A Lover's Question, that Clyde McPhatter hit, one of his big hits back in 1958. Guess who co-wrote that song? Brooke Benton. Otis, Love Man, at number 72 on Billboard Top 100, June the 7th, 1969.